Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Midpoint Wester here today with the IBA Season 6 Kentucky Torracat Draft Analysis. So, if you don't know what IBA is, it is a league run by my good pal OddsAre, aka Brody, one of the greatest dudes I've met in the community. Love this dude. And this is a Gen 7 Wi-Fi league. This league's filled up with a lot of my close friends and such, so this is a chill Wi-Fi league. It's not upload required, but the graphics are made, so I figured I'll try my best to upload. It's Gen 7 because a lot of us still like Wi-Fi, but LAN timer is sometimes a pain, and there's not many Gen 8 Wi-Fi leagues that aren't upload required just because you have to do LAN to have a decent battle, and that's just too much for a casual league, and 20-minute timer just isn't enjoyable enough. So I just had to adjust my chair there, but yeah, it's a Gen 7 Wi-Fi league, so this is going to be a lot of fun. It's just where I kind of started my channel. I was actually in IBA Season 1 when it was still the Showdown League, so it's kind of fun, just to come back full circle to a league that was originally the first 10 leagues I was ever in, which is insane to think that it's still around this long. But yeah, but before we get any further, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out all the coaches in the description. Not all of them will be uploading, but John Jr., Brody, Just Kurt, or Point Blank, I can't remember what his channel is, OG Albina, Grandmaster D-Ray. That's all I can think of, but I know they're all uploading. So, and I do have Citra replays. Me and Brody sat down and he showed me how to do them. So yeah, we're gonna have good replays. So yeah, so I had a very bad pick. I think I was straight middle. I'm looking back at it now. I was literally 8th out of 16th, so I didn't get any of the super broken mons, but I did get a very good mon that it was honestly the reason why I signed up, because I really wanted to use this mon because it's just something I've used a lot in Gen 7 and not much recently that I want to go back to, and that's Mega Glade. It was arguably one of the top 10 in the format, lower top 10, but this one I'm extremely comfortable with that base 165 attack with the 110 speed. Makes it outspeed a lot in the format, has great coverage, hits super hard, has multiple ways to set up with SD, bulk up, and such. Gets a lot of coverage, like I said before, like close combat, drain punch, zen headbutt, knockoff. Gets elemental punches, gets shadow sneak for priority, and just so on. So I can even be bulky 1 week with Wish Protect, Will-O-Wisp, and such, to where I can even just be team support too. So, and I can be taunt. It just has so much it can do. It makes it really hard to prep for what set you think it'll bring, because it can just bring 4 attacks, SD 3 attacks, bulk up 3 attacks, just bulking itself. So it doesn't have the greatest ability. It has inner focus, so it doesn't get flinched, and in this gen it still gets intimidate. So it's a very great mon that just hits super hard with its dual stabs with that attack stat, and just has good coverage to hit everything that normally would wall it. Because this thing gets walled by psychic types, but this thing gets knockoff and X-Scissor, so it still hits them super hard if I can get an SD up. And it usually gets walled by water types, but it gets Thunder Punch and Leaf Blade. And also want to shout out to John Jr. for redoing these graphics. Well, not redoing, but doing these graphics. He did everything but the logo, I believe, but he did an amazing job, and I just don't know what to say about them. They're really nice. So Mega Glade is a mon I really enjoy using, and I'm really excited. So I had to wait another 16 picks. That'll be, from now on, not 16, I'll wait 14 picks before it gets back to me. So I got Ronald Wash, which is a mon I really like. It's a bulky water in an electric type that does not lose to ground types, which I really like. So it gets pretty much free volt switches, and if a ground type does want to come in, I can just hydro pump it. I do have this in GDL, so I have Ronald Wash in multiple leagues. In Gen 7 it does not get Nasty Plot, but it still has defog, still has hydro pump, gets volt switch. So it still hits super hard. It can still be the Choice Scarf trick set. It still has a variety of coverage. It doesn't have much it can do, but what it does it does well. With either being extremely defensive and just pivoting, or just hitting super hard with the volt switch and with a choice specs, or defogging away hazards. So it's just a good glue mon on the team. It won't ever just win you a game, but it'll bring your team together to where you don't just lose to a certain mon on your opponent's team, because it has one weakness in grass types, which I feel like I do a decent job of covering up in this draft, where I don't have to rely, to where I'm not just weak to grass types for it. So yeah, so I waited like another, it was quite a bit. Yeah, I waited like 13 picks. So when it gets back to me, I grabbed Sylveon. It's a fairy type that I really enjoy and I liked in Gen 7. It's not as good as it is in Gen 8, but it's Sylveon. It's never bad. It's always gonna... It has two sets it runs. Wish, Protect, Hyper Voice like Baton Pass or Hidden Power Fire. Or it's just choice specs and it just spams the Hyper Voice button and just claims kills. But I really like this mon as a Wish Passer with Baton Pass, because I can Wish up then Baton Pass into my Rotom or just Hard Switch. So I already have two forms of momentum to get my Mega Glade in, which is super nice, because both my defensive mons so far, Ronald Wash and Sylveon, do not like steel types, but Mega Glade deals with them very nicely because it pressures out most of them, and it's just, I feel like they work very well together to where I don't have to worry about my mons not being able to beat steel types or steel types destroying my defensive core so far, because Mega Glade just destroys them. So Sylveon's a mon that most people know, and it's just very good. So, and it starts off my Fairy Dragon Steel core, as Ronald Wash starts off my Fire Water Grass core. So next one I got Salamance. It's a second part of my Fairy Dragon Steel core. It is one of my Z users. I believe it's my offensive Z. So you get two Z users, one that can use status and offensive, and one that's just offensive. And Salamance is just my offensive one. Gives me a mon at that base 100 speed tier. So right now I go 110 with Mega Glade, 100 with Salamance, 86 with the Ronald Wash, and then 60 with Sylveon, or 65, I can't remember which, but it's just an incredible wall breaker. It's a mon that I like to use every once in a while in Gen 7, and when I did, I feel like I used it really well, because I could just, if I could get up just one DD and then click the Z move, it would just claim its kill, and then if it's Moxie, it just kept going and kept going if I got rid of my opponent's Scarfers. So it's one of those ones that is extremely bulky, but it has quite a few weaknesses, being Ice, Dragon, Fairy. But my Mega Glade deals with the Ice types. My Sylveon deals with the... I can't think of what it's called, the Dragon types. And Ronald Wash deals with the Ice types. So I felt like I'm not worried about any of those types, because I have three great ways of dealing with it so far. So I feel like my Salamance can really shine on this team as being like just the breaker or the cleaner of the game. So can even bring, like, if I get the Fairy type gone, I can just bring Choice Scarf Outrage with Moxie and just claim kills. And Fairy types are very pressured on my opponent's team to come and deal with all my mons. So if they don't have reliable recovery, I can whittle them down. I eventually can, if you look at the rest of my draft, I get one Stealth Rocker, so that's kind of a problem, but yeah, it's a problem, but if I can just keep getting in those Fairy types to where they get whittled down, it makes it to where either Salamance or Mega Glade can win late game. So next up, we are getting Sovalli. It is our third defogger, so I'm not too worried about hazards, with the Ronald Wash, Salamance, and Sovalli being all defoggers. And we do get all types of Sovalli, most leagues allow it. So it's just based 95 across the board, can be any type. And it just really helps me with my team, because as you can see later on, there's a few holes. The Sovalli really brings it together. It's a great parting shot mon, so if you don't know what it does, it basically makes your opponent's attack and social attack go down by one stage, so to where they don't hit as hard. So that means it makes it easier for Mega Glade or Salamance just to set up and then claim some kills, which is really nice. And can also be offensive, like SD Flame Charge, and then can also, as I said before, just be defensive. It really supports the Sylveon Wish support, but now I have three ways of having momentum, which is really nice. So it helps me get in my breakers like Salamance and Mega Glade. Then I have Donphan. If you have not watched my channel very often, you need to know that I love Donphan. It's one of my favorite mons. Originally I had Mudstale, but then Flame Horizon dropped it. Like, we had like a 24-hour free agent period to where any trades we made went in effective week 1, but so he dropped this for Swampert, so I dropped Mudsdale for Donphan because it gave me a second way of removing hazards, so Ronald Wash isn't forced to run it every week. It gives me my one and only Stealth Rocker in this draft, which is something I'll look into getting more of, just because Donphan is a good Stealth Rocker, but I don't want to rely on it every week if it doesn't have a good matchup. But it gets great coverage with like Earthquake, Gunk Shot. It gets the Fang, Elemental Fangs. It gets Knockoff, Play Rough, Seed Bomb. So most mons that can check this thing, this mon can whittle down very fast. And it has base 120 attack, so it just hits super hard. And it's a mon I really like, and I think it fits well enough on this draft where I could justify dropping Mudsdale for it. So yeah, next up we have the Excavalier, the final core of our Fairy Dragon Steel core, with Sylveon being the fairy, Salamance being the dragon, and Excavalier being the fire type. Not the fire type, the steel type. But I was thinking in my head how this one has a 4 times weakness to fire types, but Ronald Wash resist it, and then how Ronald Wash's only weakness being grass types, Excavalier walls those 4 times. So they make a very good defensive core, I feel, and it likes the wish support from Sylveon too. So it's a mon I had twice in recent upload leagues I did well in EWT and NCP Nimbus. So it's a mon I'm comfortable with. It can SD up. It has great attack and defense, mediocre speed and special defense, but I do have to be careful of hidden powers because this is Gen 7. So I'm really looking forward to using this mon in Gen 7. I haven't used it very often outside of Gen 8, so I think it's a very interesting mon. It just hits super hard, and I feel like it pairs well with my team to help also break the fairy types that Mega Glade and Salamance don't like. So my team is all about getting the mons weakened for Salamance or Mega Glade to win. Next up, I get Xloud. I needed another special breaker, I feel, because Mega Glade's physical, Ronald Wash is special, Sylveon special, Salamance is mainly physical, Sovalli's mixed, Donphan is physical, Excavalier's physical, but I just want another mon that can always just be brought to a game and just force a kill or chip their team. It's because Xloud, it has like base 90 special attack, but if you throw a Choice Specs on with the Stab Boo Burst, it just hits super hard. And you would normally think that Ghost types wall this, but it has Scrappy, so we can hit Ghost types. So really the only thing that wall it are the Steel types, but I can either hit Fire Blast, I can go into Donphan, I can go into Run and Wash, or I can go into Mega Glade, predicting them to come in and just kind of force them out or pressure them a lot. So I really like that it pressures Steel types, because even most Steel types can't take 2 Boom Bursts unless they're like fully Spadef, which is nice for my Mega Glade or my Salamance that want to chip them down and win. So there's not much this mon can do besides just like Choice Specs Boom Burst, but I'm really excited to use it. Next up, I got tier 5 Moltres. I really haven't been talking about the tiers, and I just went in order that I drafted them, but this mon was a tier 5. And it's also my all Z user, so it gets the offensive and status Z moves, so I really like this mon. It also helps break the steel types like I mentioned before. Gives me another defogger, which is nice. Even though this mon's usually the ones that wants to get defogged for, because it's 4 times weak to rocks, but nothing wants to switch into like a Z Hurricane. Or if I can even run Z Sunny Day, raise my speed and set the sun up so I go up by 1 speed point, well 1 stage, and then hit super hard with the Fire Blast in the sun or Flamethrower. So like this mon can just hit super hard, it can be defensive and take hits when I needed to. And it's just something I don't think I ever drafted Moltres before. If I did, it was in like a casual league, side league, but I think it's just a really great mon, especially for the tier when there weren't many good tier 5s. So I'm super excited to use it, and it doesn't do very many things, but it just hits super hard, can take hits, force kills, it pressures the steel types, which makes Salamance shine even more. So then we have our last 2 picks, and I have Venusaur. I think I originally had a different mon. I'm looking back at transactions now. So I'm trying to find where I said transactions. Nope, I think I just drafted this thing. Oh yes, because I needed a grass type. Well, I didn't need it, but it finished out my fire, water, grass core, I believe. Yes. And I forgot to mention, Moltres was my fire type in that core. Venusaur carries out the grass part of that core, and it gives me a grounded poison, so my opponents can't just bring T-Spikes every game. They might not bring it because of Venusaur, but Venusaur still isn't a very good grounded poison, and I'm looking at maybe getting something better, but at least just makes it to where they're like, oh, they have no poison type, I'm gonna bring this. So like, it can be defensive, it's not as good as Mega Venusaur. I can even bring I can bring Sunny Day and Amon and set it up for the Venusaur, so I can bring Life Orb, Chlorophyll, and just claim kills with it. So like, it doesn't do many things, it'll mainly be defensive if I need it to be there, but it's not a bad tier 3, I believe. Yeah, it was tier 3 and it's not terrible, so I think it's fine on this team, and it just kind of filled a hole I had on the team so far. So the final mon I grabbed was Zoroark. It's a mon I'm not extremely comfortable with, but Choice Scarf with this thing is really nice. I can lead it. Not putting my thing, I'm leading something else, so it just forces your opponent to think even harder in the game. If I'm like, I can be trapped, I can make them think I'm like Excavalier and they click like Hidden Power Fire, but I'm a Zoroark and I just Dark Pulse you and do a lot of damage, so it's really nice. I could have they could think I'm Mega Glade, and I'm just gonna let them hit me with like a Fairy type move, or I mean the Psychic type move. But I'm a Zoroark and I'm just gonna bop you with a Dark Pulse, which is really nice. So I think it fits nice on this team. Just extra mind games that I personally don't want to deal with, so it's nice. And it makes it to where I don't have to fight like mono Psychic teams. To like, if I'm fighting a Reading Eclipse, I don't have to worry about Iron Defense, Calm Mind, Psychic Recover, and such. To where I just can't beat it because I don't have a Dark type. So this is extremely useful on this team, and yes, this is my draft. So tell me down in the description on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, how you think my team will do this season. This is a 10-week season, so also guess what you think my record will be. I'm going to guess 5-5. So yes, thank you all for watching. Check out all the other coaches, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.